A movie being made about the raid that killed Osama Bin Laden is raising concerns about the release of information from the secret operation. Newly released documents reportedly show the government shared special details about the raid with Hollywood filmmakers. Just weeks before, the Pentagon and CIA had warned that leaking information about the raid could be dangerous. Joining us from Washington, D.C. is Rachel Smolkin, White House editor for Politico. She worked with Josh Gerstein on an article he wrote called Pentagon, CIA, White House Opened Up to Hollywood on Bin Laden raid. Rachel, good morning to you. Good to have you.
Good to be here.
This started when a conservative watchdog group, Judicial Watch, filed a Freedom of Information Act lawsuit for these documents. What was the motive?
Well, there have been a lot of questions about the way the administration has handled the aftermath of the raid that killed Osama bin Laden. Obviously, this was a huge success story for the administration when they really want to get out, when they really want to tell to the American people, both for reasons of history and also because the president is in the middle of a re-election campaign. So all these factors come to a head. It's a very dramatic event, and the administration really has put out these stories. We saw a lot of details right after the raid, and then that was immediately followed by questions about was the White House politicizing this event. So Judicial Watch sues to try to find out exactly what did happen behind the scenes, and now we have new information about the disclosures and the access that were given to these filmmakers.
The access is the big question. What information did those filmmakers receive?
Well, it's really an interesting look at sort of raising of the curtain behind the scenes, a look at our intelligence agencies, because they got access to top officials at the Pentagon, at the CIA, and at the White House. They were taken to see a mock-up of the compound in Pakistan. So we're talking about details that are, very secret, and some lawmakers have raised concerns, including Congressman Pete King, who heads the House Homeland Security Committee, about whether these filmmakers may have gotten access to classified information as well.
And we asked about this. CBS News asked the Defense Department. We got this statement back. No classified information was provided to the filmmakers. The Department of Defense, as well as other agencies and departments, regularly engage with the entertainment industry to inform projects ranging from books to documentaries to feature films. You just mentioned Homeland Security Committee Chairman Peter King now saying he has concerns about national security after learning about this situation. He said he sent letters to Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence Michael Vickers and Deputy CIA Director Michael Morrell voicing his concerns. The question here, was this a national security breach?
Well, we don't know yet if it was a breach. I mean, certainly those are the questions that are being raised. That's the question Judicial Watch was interested in. Congressman King has for some time now asked questions about the security violations, and the departments themselves, the Pentagon and the CIA, have been very concerned about leaks that happened after the Osama bin Laden killing. So we have to remember this is all taking place in the context of was too much information leaked to the press, and then meanwhile we're seeing this very high level of access given to filmmakers. So that's the question. I mean, there is an investigation going on now that the Inspector General is doing at the Defense Department. Congressman King will be continuing to ask questions. So we're seeing a lot of swirl around this. We saw a lot of questions come up during the bin Laden anniversary about the way the administration handled it, and this will only give new fuel to those kinds of concerns that some Republicans have raised.
Your article says that the government cooperated more with these particular filmmakers. Any reason why?
Well, I mean, obviously, Catherine Bigelow is a very respected filmmaker, and if they're going to cooperate, this is going to be a very interesting look at what happened. And I'm sure from the administration standpoint, again, this is a story they want to tell. They want to get the details out to the American people. This is both dramatic filmmaking and a huge foreign policy victory, a huge victory in the war on terrorism. So the administration does have an interest both in putting the facts out there and putting their story out there.
Quickly, Rachel, I recently watched a documentary on 9/11, and it was a chronology of the events that happened that day. And it was information that was gathered from the White House, CIA, and the Pentagon on how that day unfolded. How is the information of that documentary so much different than the access these filmmakers were granted?
Well, some of the access issues revolve around things that were offered, and it doesn't look like all of them happened. For example, They were offered access to a SEAL member who'd been involved in the planning but not actually carrying out the operation. The Pentagon has said that that meeting actually never took place, but apparently they were given the name of this person that is not a name that has been shared with either the press or the public. So again, we're talking about how much did they see, and even beyond that, the access they got to top administration officials and potentially to people who knew a lot of details about this operation.
It's all about that gray line. All fascinating, nonetheless.
Exactly.
Rachel Smolkin, White House editor for Politico. Rachel, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Rachel worked with Josh Gerstein on the article called Pentagon, CIA, White House opened up to Hollywood on the Bin Laden raid.